Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a double header here for the SMB3 tournament. Today we've got an interesting situation. We've got it's Paranoia going up against Sharky in Group B, and we've got Rhakor going up against DisasterKatti in Group D to finish off that bracket. I'm Rhakor, and with me is the ever incomparable, and always sadistic Growl. Say hi, Growl.
Hi, Grove.
All right, like interesting, very funny.
Now, you have a really good point here because we got a couple of matchups here. This is something that, like you said, we don't really do all that often. But this time we're making an exception. Both sets of runners have chosen the exact same set of flags, and we'll go over those in just a moment. But we thought, hey, we'll take care of two races at the same time, so you get double trouble.
And a little bit of a technical hiccup with Sharky, but everything seems to be good as we start on the World 7th area with Ludwig the Meister of Mayhem.
A lot of recon at this point. It's really just going to be a lot of finding where we're going at this point. And really, in World 7, one of the things that I really like to do is find a fort, then play the fort. Don't take a lot of time going in between the route because there's a really good chance that you're going to forget where you came from, where you're going. Just if you see a fort, play a fort, move on. And we know a bridge is required, and it looks like it's Paranoia has currently figured it out.
And right now Paranoia is starting off with World 2-4. And Sharky's right behind him.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of the same routes, at least between some of the runners. Maybe not everybody takes it, but it's really surprising when runners go off the beaten path, if you will, because even in Randomizer, there is an optimized strat. And even in the way that you play, the way that you look for levels, the way that you look for fortresses, there's really a lot of the same plays, and we see that a lot, which is very interesting.
And I believe Sharky took a fall there as we see him redoing the level, and now we see Paranoia in the Navy.
Absolutely, and that does mean another death on the side of sharky2107 for 2-4. So a little bit of a complicated level. Sometimes we take this for granted because there are so many levels that we play after this one in the regular game. It's just not one that we really associate as being a tough level.
Yeah, Sharky is just struggling with 2-4. But you should have seen what happened yesterday. We had a racer, I'm not going to reveal who because I don't want to embarrass them, but they struggled a lot with the first level 7-5.
It really shows how difficult the randomizer can be because there is a lot of talent in the entire group, and just anybody can have any kind of an issue because if it's the wrong enemy set or if it's the wrong level or if you just don't have the resources for it, it's not saying that these guys aren't any good because that's definitely not the case, but it just shows how complicated this randomizer actually can be.
Yeah, it could turn a pro into a newbie and a newbie into a pro.
As Zero Wing did just mention, we had our first game over on the side of sharky2107. 2-4 just not playing nice to him. It looks like he's trying to go for an item, and some of those jumps just aren't being friendly to him.
And Paranoia is the first one to reach up. Paranoia is the first to reach Ludwig's airship, followed by DisasterKatti. Let's see what kind of a song or musical Meister is going to compose today.
Absolutely, and currently Ludwig von Koopa is on the World 6 airship. Normally we would see Lemmy here, so that does mean it's going to be a wide open arena for our runners to go ahead and get really into their fight with Ludwig.
Oh, and it looks like just a standard 3-hitter, just composing a single.
Yeah, kind of boring as far as that start goes, but with that, we do finish the first level. Get your guesses in to see which world is next. I'm going to have to go with 4.
And Sharky's completed 2-4, but quickly takes a fall at the Navy.
Yeah, the Navy is one that, different people will use different strategies on. When I was younger, I actually used to swim underneath the naval boats just so I didn't have to put up with the different cannonballs and such, but definitely not one to sleep on at all. No level in Randomizer you can sleep on.
But didn't you ever worry about it registering as a drown?
That happened a couple times, but I knew if I went up top, the cannonballs would certainly register as a death there. So I decided not to go that way. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but that's all right.
And I believe we're in a World 5 beta level. And by the way, zeroing, we've got still a chance for a reverse world order.
Indeed, and a couple of the harder worlds to get started with. Personally, I kind of enjoy this, and I know that maybe makes me a little bit of a sadist, but honestly, I do like seeing the tougher aspects of the game come out early when you don't have the inventory, when you don't have the items, when you don't have all the extra answers, and you really just got to figure out the level for the sake of the level.
Well, it's fun for us, but not as fun for the racers. You gotta wonder if them are breaking their controllers and just saying like, screw this.
Yeah, there are some really complicated parts to these randomizers, and really the biggest thing is just keeping your head throughout the entire run. The world isn't over in one level. The game isn't over just because you took an early death. There's a lot of game left to be played for all of our runners. So even though there's a bit of a lead on the left side of the screen, it doesn't mean it's over yet. There is a lot that can still happen here.
And I believe right now Paranoia and Katti are on the world 1-1. How it all begins.
You are absolutely correct, but we added a modification to this one. We decided a boss pass would make 1-1 a lot more fun.
You can never have enough boss pass. Yes, you can. Shut up. And we see now that they're starting to go into the World F2 fort, or otherwise known as the Spike Fort. And Shark is finally making it to Ludwig. But he's on his last life, and I cannot imagine he wants to do this section over.
Actually, it won't be that bad because he was able to get through 2-4 and then immediately play the Navy. He was able to take care of that. And because the Navy is labeled as a fort in this world, sometimes it won't be labeled as a fort in the World 8, but it is in World 7, so it is a fortress. That means he won't have to play it again because the bridge will stay built. So a little bit of a sigh of relief, but definitely not something he wants to go through again if he doesn't have to.
Well, either way, it becomes a non-issue as with 3 hits, Sharky takes him down.
And that's the kind of thing you like to see. I mean, Sharky's not out of it yet, especially if nothing else for an average time. I mean, this is the first race. Get your groove, get comfortable, get ready, and then stick it. If you don't take this one, fight for it. But then in the next one, get ready. It's your time.
And DisasterKatti having a little success with the end card game as Paranoia has made it to Lemmy's ship. Take your guesses for how many hits you think Lemmy's gonna take.
I think we won't find it on its Paranoia, but then for DisasterKatti, I think we're gonna see 3 again.
Well, we know he's at least a 1-hitter, at least a 2-hitter, a 3-hitter. Whoa, Lemmy's coming to play. Paranoia's gotta watch out for those balls. Oh, he gets it!
I was completely wrong about that. Commentator's curse, eat your heart out. And DisasterKatti having the exact same issues that we saw his Paranoia have just a moment ago.
I'm struggling so hard not to make a bad joke right now.
With that, we do have our first leadership change on the right side. Rhakor did get a fire kill, a beautiful fire kill off real quick, and now Rhakor has taken about a 5 to 10 second lead.
I mean, and I don't know about you, but if I was Sharky, at this point I would consider taking an intentional game over to replenish his livestock.
Yeah, definitely looking at the possibility of something not going your way. You've already got at least 2 fortresses that you can already see, so I agree. Definitely want to be careful here. Maybe go ahead and take that death, get recharged and ready to go.
And Paranoia finally takes down a 5-hitter Lemmy. He's running a full-on circus today.
Absolutely. The crazy Koopling with the mohawk is not playing around today.
Aren't they all crazy?
Yeah, that sounds about right. And with that, unfortunately, that will be the end of the possible reverse world order. And the boss pass does not go hungry in 1-1 as Sharky goes ahead and takes that game over. Also, we would like to welcome the SpeedGaming Deutsch channel watchers. They just rated with a party of 68. Welcome. Hopefully, the rest of the ALTTPR randomizer run was amazing, and hopefully that went really well.
All we can do is hope as we see Sharky back in the World 5 beta.
Absolutely. It looks like Ed's Paranoia has taken a music box there, and I would like to step aside for a moment and talk about the flags that they currently have. So they do have Turning Group 2.
Oh, I hate to interrupt you, but Paranoia just took a fire death at the Air Force.
That is quite all right. That is unfortunate for sure to see it, but at least with the Fire Flower now, he can go for a quicker kill on Boom Boom.
You were saying?
Right. So the Turning Group 2 that we're doing is the runners have access to the in-card game, which appears every 80,000 points, and we've seen that a few times. We have randomized those items, so if you make 2 matches, then it won't necessarily be the item that you've turned over. So we'd be watching for that as well as seeing what the items produce. Also, hammers do break rocks and locks in this, so instead of having to go find a fortress that will allow you to move on, you could instead use a hammer on the lock and continue that way as well.
We've just seen Rhakor and Kitty beat up a 2-hitter Morton's. Apparently, he's not gotten enough salt in his diet. But Paranoia and Sharky are still far behind as Sharky enters the World F2 for it.
And it looks like the start of 7-4 here for its Paranoia. We have turned off the auto scrollers. We really just didn't have time for it, so we turned them off so our runners could go a bit faster here.
With only 2 exceptions, 5-9 and Atlantis, because without auto scroll they become impossible to complete.
We got a hot take in the chat asking for a 5-hit Earthquake Windy. That's an absolutely terrifying thing. Okay.
Don't let her hear you say that. I think she may hit you.
That's quite all right. Our runners are, Rhakor and DisasterKatti both going for a 3-1 kill here. And DisasterKatti did go for an unfortunate door 3 miss, but that would have been the leadership change as well. Rhakor back into the in-card game. We'll see if we can get a peek at his inventory right after this.
Either way, Rhakor's making some good headway, and just as I say that, commentators curse.
Looks like its Paranoia is currently in the 5F1.
Oh, but Rhakor enters 7F2 and takes a quick fall.
That is interesting to me. So I like this approach. He is playing both of these fortresses right now, which means one likely will build a bridge and the other is going to probably break a lock somewhere. So definitely could be required. I am interested to see what happens when DisasterKatti gets to the top, though.
We see Sharky's made it to Lemmy's airship. He could be having a chance to close the gap between him and Paranoia.
Yeah, you really hope to see it. I mean, Sharky has done a great job thus far, coming back from that 2-4 level. So hopefully he can continue to fight and continue to put himself where he needs to be in a good place.
Don't we all want to just be in a good place?
7F2 is the end of it for Rhakor, and there is a fortress on the top. So World 5 is going to be our Triple Monty 4 world, and we couldn't have known that previously. I didn't see everything in World 6, but if the numbers were on the panels, we would have been able to tell how many worlds or how many fortresses were in each world. But since we've got that turned off, it was anybody's guess at this point. So World 5 does have the 3 fortresses, and I'm starting to like the decision from Rhakor even better now.
Yeah, we want to make this as interesting as possible.
But interestingly enough, neither one on the bottom actually provided what he was looking for. So I'm a little curious. Well, I guess the other pipe is on the bottom right. So really just a broken link on the bottom 2 pipes, and really not a whole lot gained, actually. Either way, we got Sharky taking on a coin chip here. I believe this was giving a music box, but we'll have to confirm that. Decides he wants a few more items, so he will stock up on those coins.
And DisasterKatti narrowly avoiding a pile driver to escape the level. And Caddy gets fanfare. Good for casual play, not so good when you're trying to make up for lost time.
Absolutely, because that does take just a little bit more time than our runners really want to allot to it. But even with the fortresses that Rhakor played, it looks like he is still about a level in the lead. And that for DisasterKatti will be a huge problem. Hopefully with this Tanuki tail, though, he can get a bit ahead. There's just, it's not a friendly level sometimes. And any little thing you do will be punished in a randomizer.
Oh, and Caddy falls again to 1-6, if I'm not mistaken.
And you are absolutely correct. And Rhakor now looking to extend that lead. Did take an early exit, decided to go ahead and open up the P block and realized, wait a second, I don't need that. And now he is headed to the fight with Boom Boom.
And I just want to point out that for 7F1, it's one of the few things that will never be randomized. You will always find a Tanuki suit there in order to, again, ensure that there is not a soft lock. And we've got a suicidal Koopa.
Sharky looking to play 5F1 to try to get through as quickly as possible, because this is the last one before he gets to rejoin Starman, or it's Paranoia, in the fourth world. So looking to try to narrow that gap a little bit. Still a lot left to play, and he's got a good chance at it. He's just got to keep going fast.
And I believe we've got Rhakor now at another World 5 beta, one of the newer ones.
Absolutely. You've talked about the beta levels, the lost levels previously. Oh, give our viewers a little bit of an explanation as to what that is.
Absolutely. Well, in the code of the game, there are a handful of levels that didn't quite make the cut to the main game. But we here at the randomized community like to mix things up, keep people on their toes. So our friend Fred Coughlin has incorporated their code into the pool of levels, and now you have a chance for one of 9 or even more than 9 of the beta levels to show up for you to try out. Now there are a couple beta levels that we haven't been able to make playable yet, but right now the 9 we've got are some pretty interesting ones, and one that every racer so far has hated and is wishing we just had left alone.
Yeah, we definitely tip our hats to the randomizer community that was able to put this together. Fred Coughlin, who was a huge part in actually building it first, and then other members of the community that have contributed as well. Because the lost levels are such a wonderful addition to it, because you're not always expecting to play a lost level, and some of them are a lot more difficult than others. So a nice addition.
Atlantis.
Yeah, Atlantis is definitely one that people know and really just don't like unless you're watching it, because playing through it is a huge pain. It's not a terribly difficult level, but it definitely takes a long time.
And speaking of betas, we're at our new. Rhakor just ran into our newest one, the 1.6 beta.
We do have a 50-50 guess here. Rhakor, the first one to make this decision, decides to go ahead, and I believe he played the top fortress and found 5F2. So we had 5F1 earlier, now we've got the second of that world, and a beautiful piece speed strat to get through 5F2 without any issues at all.
And Rhakor just demolishes the Boom Boom.
I'm just watching the right side with Rhakor and DisasterKatti, and even, it's Paranoia is just a little bit behind, and Sharky is doing his best to catch up as well. But there's a lot of talent here, and DisasterKatti and Rhakor just really keeping it close. They are going back and forth.
I hate to interrupt, but I think Sharky may be soft locked somehow. He seems to have glitched into the blocks.
Folks, get your F's out in chat for Sharky. That is a highly disappointing feeling for him. Basically, you clip into the side of a block. The same mechanism is used for like 7-1, 7-6, some of those clips. And because there is nothing behind that wall, the game thinks you are where you're supposed to be, and it doesn't know how to get you out.
We saw this happen with Mitch Flower Power earlier. Back when he, not Mitch Flower Power, True Hyper Mario, when he went against Mitch Flower Power.
Yeah, we had that happen previously as well in this tournament. I believe it was one of these runners. No, I think Stewie Cartman had it happen as well. And it's very unfortunate. The only thing you can do is wait for the level timer to run out.
Sharky can't be happy right now. He just can't.
It does feel bad. It's really the only thing you can say about it is it feels really bad, because now you're literally stuck, and all you can believe is that your opponent's getting a lot further ahead than you originally had him.
And in the meantime, we've seen Rhakor take quick work of Larry, and soon he'll be going on to the next word, and we're only 2 words away from seeing our fights with the big green and ugly turtle.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot going on here, and really, like you said, Bowser is a really good. That obviously is our goal here, and the last question really comes down to how many bridges are there, and it's going to be who finds it first, I think, because Rhakor and DisasterKatti just are not that far apart.
We see DisasterKatti taking out some boomerang bows. Not sure what she got from it, though. Or he got, sorry.
DisasterKatti doing a very nice strat through the World 2 airship, and we'll be looking for his fight with Larry here in just one moment. And it's Paranoia also trying to catch up to where DisasterKatti currently is, and Rhakor just currently setting the pace.
And the time is finally about to run out for Sharky to allow him to continue his run.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those points where, unfortunately, a runner can get really tilted or basically forfeit in their own mind. Because what do? You just lost 4 minutes almost that you were supposed to be using to catch up with your opponent. And really, he was starting to come back and starting to make a big difference. And now he finds himself about a world behind, because 4 minutes in a randomizer is a lot of the time the world.
Looking at World Race Time GG, it doesn't say he's forfeited yet.
Right. No, I meant you forfeit in your mind, kind of like in a mental state, because being in a situation like that is incredibly taxing, because really you just have to sit yourself down and say, look, it happened, get over it, continue to play hard. You may not win this, but you still have to play like you have a chance. And that's what I mean with the mental forfeit, is that you just kind of give up on the race and think, oh, it's already over. What's it matter if I take a loss here or a death here or whatever?
Yeah, I don't think I could do what these races do. If that happened to me, I'd probably just quit the entire race and just say, like, I can't do this. I'm getting a beer.
So as we talked about previously, there are still some connotations and some things on this race that we are looking for. So Sharky2107 is a good runner. You know, we saw an absolutely outstanding race from him just the other day, taking on Gimp Extreme. And you know, it came down to the absolute wire. I turned it on. I was actually out at another event, and I turned it on just so I could see what was going on. And Sharky pulled off a beautiful clip that Gimp Extreme, like they were so close. They were both going into Bowser, and Sharky pulled it off by like 15 seconds. It was one of the closest races we've had in a long time. So, you know, Sharky is not out of this, and he cannot be out of this. He cannot believe that he's out of this. He must continue on. And even if he doesn't win this one, even if he runs out of time, runs out of real estate, just can't take down Bowser first, second game coming, you have got to win that one. As put in chat by Zero Wing, I said he's becoming a defeatist, and you're absolutely right. It's you forget to win, and really it's just you've already let yourself lose at that point. And you know, Sharky still has to finish this run. Otherwise, he takes a 2-hour penalty on whatever his last run is. And we have a hammer. We now have a hammer on the side of Sharky. Let's hope he remembers to use that on a lock. And I don't know that the other runners actually have it.
You see DisasterKatti right now, and I believe that's 7-8.
Very close. Actually, this is 7-9, home of some of the most ridiculous clips, but they are sure a lot of fun to watch.
Paranoia has finally reached Larry's ship, and we're going to see a little encounter between a Starman and a Stinker.
It looks like Rhakor currently making very nice work of World 3's airship, and will be taking on one of the last of the Koopalings for him this time. Decides to go up and around to see if he can get a better item. Doesn't find what he's looking for, just gets a Starman, but will wind up in the fight here in just one moment.
Let's see if Wendy's had her Baconators today.
Fort Knox on the side of Sharky2107. Really just has to wait for the tail.
And Wendy only had a junior cheeseburger. So Rhakor's going to go on to World 7, otherwise known as World 4.
Absolutely, and this can definitely be a quicker world for our runners. You know, there's a lot that could happen, but really the biggest thing is just you find a fortress. We've already seen 3 fortresses come up. There can only be one world like that. So, you know, you've got the possibility of 1 or 2. Really not going to take a whole lot of time. You're going to be looking for Bowser here very quickly.
And all it would take for Caddy is for Rhakor to make just one mistake, and he could have a very strong chance of surpassing.
Absolutely. I mean, as close as Rhakor and DisasterKatti have kept this so much, it's really quite impressive. And we have Rhakor now into 7-8. Thankful for that star, I am sure.
We see Paranoia doing the Muncher Run. You've heard of walking on hot coals? Try walking on a bunch of munching piranha thingies.
Yeah, 7-7, not anyone's friend for sure. A little bit of an easier level when you're, you know, a smaller in my opinion, because you don't have you don't have to do the ducks and stuff. But even the Speed strats are not the easiest around, but they sure do look good.
You can see Rhakor just bouncing through the water. I think he's glad that Boss Bass isn't here to bother him.
Absolutely. I know for a lot of the runners, boss pass is just a huge nuisance, and you don't really think about it in a lot of the different levels. But there are some levels that definitely get way more complicated when you add some factor like that. And 3-2 would be no exception to that whatsoever.
And Rhakor picking up a hammer from some Hammer Bros. How fitting.
You know, I don't mind that at all, but Rhakor is running out of time to be able to use that. Although there is the possibility that World 8 could have a lock in a place that's a critical route. If it's protecting the pipe that takes him to Bowser, and if there's 0 or 1 bridges, that's, really, that could be the difference. And if Rhakor or DisasterKatti goes in first, I think we could see that as the difference there. And just like that, we do have Rhakor and DisasterKatti both on the 1-5 loss level, which is incredible. I mean, they have kept this race so close, and all DisasterKatti needs now is a very nice time play, like a Cloud over 5-9 or 7-5 or Atlantis or any of the ones that take a long time. And then he's on to the races and will be our new leader for the 2.
And we see Rhakor has made it to the Super Tanks area.
Not going to guard Bowser's castle this time. World 3 airship on the side of its Paranoia does take damage there. We'll get a mushroom, or I'm sorry, a star here, and should help him along to the fight with Wendy, which did not seem like it was all that terrible this time.
And Paranoia uses his star power to take out an Action 52 bullet. If you've played the game, you get the reference.
Unfortunate death there on the side of Wendy. So its Paranoia will equip, I believe, a penguin here in a moment. Nope, decides to go with the tail, and we'll start on over.
And Rhakor's already on his way to face off against Iggy.
Indeed, a quick fight for sure. DisasterKatti doing his best to catch up as well. I believe just a level difference still between the two of these. And really, it's anybody's guess. But as we go into World 8, let's go ahead and get your guesses in for bridges to Bowser. How many bridges do you think will go to Bowser's castle? We have anywhere from -1, where the bridge could be built but is not in the way, all the way up to 4.
We've got Isa Fnif saying 0. Any other guesses?
I think I got to go with 2 this time.
I'm foreseeing 3.
And World 8 Fortress will be the very first icon that we come to. That's not a bad start, because if that is the required fortress, you're done with it early.
Mew Mew fan is just being mean.
I don't know. I have to admit, I have not seen Atlantis for a long time. So if a hand level or a forced because of route requirement is a Atlantis, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
And also Mew Mew pointing out this is a Fred! When a world is on the same place it's supposed to be in a vanilla game, we call it a Fred.
Rhakor playing around a little bit there, was going for a swag clip and jumped through the door just in time for the conveyor belt to start back up. And that should be a 5-shot for the end of Boom Boom. And we will be moving on to the next fort. And right behind Rhakor is DisasterKatti.
You gotta give Catty credit. He is just keeping up the pace.
Absolutely. You'll love to see it. And this is what I was talking about. Rhakor did just use a hammer there, found a pipe, went ahead, went through it, saw a lock, went ahead and broke it. We'll see if that plays off to his advantage. Okay, very interesting for sure. It looks like DisasterKatti did the exact same thing.
It's still neck and neck between them, as Sharky has entered the 1-6 beta we mentioned earlier.
You are
really trying to make up for the lost time from that soft lock.
Yes, absolutely. And you'll love to see it. I mean, anytime a player continues to fight back, play aggressively, do their best to get back into it, you just love to see it. Interestingly, though, both DisasterKatti and Rhakor appear to be taking a very similar
Oh,
route.
Riku fell off. Riku fell off. This could be a chance for Caddy.
You are absolutely correct, because that is now the difference. And DisasterKatti is now our new leader between the two.
And Riku slips off again. This is stunning.
Absolutely. Going to be an interesting fight to see who gets through first.
Riku deciding to give up on that level and just go for a different fort.
We're going to see if that comebacks to bite him. Hopefully not. Interesting. So we now have a complete loop, which means I believe the dark room is going to have the one that goes to Bowser, but we'll have to wait and see.
And Riku takes a hot foot to the hiney. I think he's saying the struggle with the ice level starting to affect him.
DisasterKatti finding a lock where you would come out of the pipe and play 8-1 next. And without a hammer, he is going to have to play a few more forts to see where we're going. A little bit of divergence here. I love it.
You gotta love how our players are having to think on their feet.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that they've come across two different ideas here. I mean, we do have more fortresses now, and DisasterKatti and Rhakor both going into their fight with Boom Booms. One of these could be very important. A very positive side on the side of DisasterKatti. Now he just needs to find I believe just needs to find the L shape like Mew fan just talked about, because that very well could be the last pipe that we need to take them to Bowser. And with as many fortresses as they've already played, that could spell the end of this World 8. A quick one-shot Iggy there does mean that Paranoia will also be joining our runners in World 8.
Iggy has become a complete nerd today.
Yeah, just not a whole lot going there. DisasterKatti does find that lock did break. Has seen this before, but I think with everything going on, probably doesn't remember that. DisasterKatti now looking through the pipes here, realizes, wait, I've already seen this one, and now we'll go up to the top, and this very well could be our Bowser.
Okay. But there's a lock in the way, and he's sans a hammer.
I think Caddy needs to go to the bottom right of the dark room here, which... No, I take that back. Okay, this is getting interesting. So 3F2 is now being played on the side of Rhakor, and that very likely could be the fortress that opens up the lock on the L.
As Sharky picks up a star from a Hammer Bro fight and makes his way on to face Larry.
It looks like DisasterKatti finally onto the right track, and will be doing his best to take down Rhakor here. I have not seen a hammer shoot on anybody's inventories thus far, so it's going to be very interesting to see how these runners take him down.
Caddy trying to navigate through the carpet Boo Ridleys.
Yeah, definitely going to be a close one between Rhakor and DisasterKatti. Rhakor currently small here, but I don't think that's a terrible decision. And now looking for the L-shaped or the L pipe, and that should be Bowser.
That should be the path to Grandma's house. Yet, but there's a level in between.
But that also means that Rhakor does not have an inventory. He's going to be going into Bowser with whatever he can possibly muster here. And I like this play from It's Paranoia. He is now playing 3F2 because he saw it and he went ahead and played it. I think that's going to be a very, very beneficial thing for him and could mean his catch up to these guys as well.
And we see Caddy using a P-Wing to get through the ice world.
You know, I don't hate it. I think that's a really good decision. If you've got items, you might as well use them. And honestly, if you've got a Fire Flower here, you're already ready for the Bowser fight. And if you can take down Bowser with a Fire Flower, you might have the win here if you're Disaster. Now, what is
if I'm not mistaken, this is actually a beta ice level.
You are, in fact, correct. And we are, this is such a tight race right now because Rhakor currently does have a bit of an advantage going into the final, but is going to be small. And DisasterKatti looking for a quick clip in to get where where Rhakor just was.
And remember, Bowser has nothing below the waist.
Yeah, there is no hitbox down there. And it looks like Rhakor will be taking this. DisasterKatti unable to get that clip right away. We'll continue to try here for a moment because it is fast if you can get it. And a beautiful clip there. And it looks like It's Paranoia will also be catching up. And because he did play 3F2, I do believe he'll be finding the fortress here in just a moment and will be moving on as well. So the fight with Bowser.
GG's out for Rhakor. He's completed the Bowser.
Absolutely. And Rhakor finishing with a total time of 40 minutes and 52 seconds.
Impressive. Very impressive indeed.
And a bit of an issue on the side of DisasterKatti does mean he will be going back in and playing this again. This time not going after the clip. Oh, and the Roto Discs do have their win. DisasterKatti doing his best. It looks like he will go after the clip again. A lot of P-Wings in this seed.
Must be a sale at the P-Wing house.
I suppose so. Clearance section, everything must go. And It's Paranoia still having a bit of a problem with this World 8. Just not finding the information that he wants. And Sharky doing his best as well to get caught up here and join our runners on World 8.
Sorry, I think I clicked the wrong thing.
DisasterKatti still working on clips. We will see if Sharky is able to do that. Go after some clips here.
I have no idea how I clicked that for Sharky. I apologize.
Yeah, it looks like on the background we have the different runners in different places on the screen. So I actually think I did that, but we got it fixed up. Rhakor is the winner. It is denoted correctly now.
Aha!
All right, it looks like It's Paranoia is looking for a second place win here, as he does have a hammer suit. So with a couple of good clips or just not taking any damage, that will mean a quick shot on Bowser to be done and to rescue the princess here. So It's Paranoia coming out of the right field, ready for a fight with Bowser here. One try for It's Paranoia, decides that's enough, and we'll go ahead and go into the fireball room, hoping that the randomized path here isn't too bad.
Well, nice. Oh! So close, but a double fireball snipes Paranoia. Oh!
Absolutely. I hate to see it. The damage boost at least would have helped a little bit there. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough.
I think you may have clicked done on Rhakor too.
Yeah, Rhakor's finished first.
Yeah, but he's asking why he got an invite to the voice chat. That's not till after both races.
Okay, we'll fix that.
Gaddy is struggling a considerable amount with Bowser's Castle. Not like it's done anyone else any favors, and Paranoia takes another lava bath.
Both DisasterKatti and its Paranoia having just a little bit of an issue here. It's Paranoia with a mushroom. Not a bad start. Hopefully he can get an extra power up to get himself into a better position and get ready for the Bowser there.
And I think Caddy may be just trying to get a mac and cheese clip just to get done with all this. Oh! But instead, Caddy takes a very long fall.
Yeah, that is absolutely one of the most gut-wrenching deaths to take in the game, because you're trying your best to get those real precise jumps, and then it just drops you, and there's no way to really save yourself at that point, and it really hurts. It is a hard one to take.
Oh, no question at all.
It's Paranoia now onto the Bowser fight with a Fire Flower. We'll see if he does go after the fire kill here. Hopefully he can make some waves in a moment. There are 30 balls that do take, or it does take 30 to take Bowser down, and won't be quite enough, so it's Paranoia will have to go the old-fashioned way.
Sometimes you just don't want to mess with the classic.
And a nice mac and cheese on the side of DisasterKatti. That will set up our third fight with Bowser as well.
I was gonna ask why Caddy didn't use the hammer boat. Oh! And a fireball gets Caddy. Yikes.
And with that, Starman will finish up, or it's Paranoia, I should say.
With a time of 47:08. Sorry, I just wanted to get to doing the times.
DisasterKatti now on to Bowser's Castle again, hoping that this time, or maybe this next time, will be the last time.
Those disco waffles are just saying no.
And 3-2 on the side of Sharky, hopefully to get through this one time and not have to do it again. Sharky, I believe, with a fort to play. And there are a couple clouds there, so hopefully we'll see those come out here in just a moment. And that will lead to the 1-5 beta for him. DisasterKatti just having a terrible time with this Bowser's Castle, and it does show how taxing this can be, especially on the side of like the mental game, really. You know, you've already had some issues. You've already just seen your opponent end when you were just that close, and now at this point, you just want to get through the Bowser's Castle as quickly as you can.
Oh, absolutely. You want to be able to get to the next race, but you don't want to forfeit and make yourself feel bad.
Yeah, for sure. And you really don't want to get yourself in a place where you aren't able to come back from this, because there is one more race. This is still groups. You're still in it. You're still a newcomer to the SMB3. But both of these runners just did such a great job and really had a chance at winning it. And, this time it went to Rhakor. I think next time, keep your head in the game. DisasterKatti just needs to come back and get ready to play.
And Caddy finally getting the mac and cheese clip to go up against Bowser. Well, the second time. Let's see if Caddy can have a little more success this time.
Yeah, hopefully so. And hopefully he's able to stay a little bit more towards the middle of Bowser, because that is where you do not take damage. And it looks like he's got that figured out this time.
And with that, get your GGs out for DisasterKatti, as he's going to finish with a time of 5th. Well, we're just waiting for him to punch his thing in. And he's going to finish with 50-21. All that's left is for Sharky.
Absolutely, and that will set up the last of our airships for Sharky, and we'll be going through the maze here in just a little bit. And kudos to Sharky, really, again, for sticking with this. You had a 4-minute delay from a soft clip in the tower, and for the most part, it seems like he has shaken it off, and he's getting ready to play.
I gotta give him mad props for that, man. I gotta give him mad props.
Absolutely. We do have a question in the chat. Yumi Fan asks, what are the win-loss records? And Rhakor and DisasterKatti are both sitting at 0-4 before this. So they will, of course, be updated with this. Rhakor now 1-4 and DisasterKatti now 0-5. And then on the side of it, It's Paranoia and Sharky. It's Paranoia is currently 1-2 after the race, and Sharky is 1-2 as well. So both of these runners really looking for something good here to get themselves moved up in the standings. And it looks like World 8 Fortress on the side of Sharky is doing his best to catch up here. This is the first Fortresses that our runners did play. And here in just one moment, we'll see if he does play 3F2 as well. Currently, it looks like Sharky is equipped with the Fire Flower. You like to see it. And he will be picking a fight with Boom Boom here in just a moment. We'll see if he can get that one cycle. Looking good so far. And now the fight with Boom Boom is coming up.
That's just a 1, a 2, and a 3.
As pointed out by Gimp Extreme in the chat, Group B is still wide open at this point, and you're absolutely correct in that. We saw a couple of really good races the other day between Sharky and Gimp Extreme, and It's a Starman's still up to play. So Gimp Extreme did take that one, which makes him 3-1, and the best one of these runners can do this time is 2-2 after these two races. So a little bit left to play. IBUBA7 has yet to label the matches, but he has scheduled several of them, which are coming up over this weekend primarily. So Friday and Saturday has 2 lined up for that. So going to be interesting for sure. Going to be Interesting to see how this Group B plays out. And in answer to Tess Nope's no, this is actually going to be 2 races. We are just waiting for Sharky2107 to finish up here, and then we will be getting them started in just as quickly as we can afterwards.
Well, DisasterKatti's saying he wants a 5-minute break.
Yeah, but that's not a problem at all. We will get our runners started here as quickly as we can, and we'll also use that time to give our viewers a break as well. Sharky taking just a little bit of time here, but that is not a problem at all. Won't be able to go for the clip here. We'll have to fall just a little bit more carefully than that.
Yeah, he just got split up by a disco waffle.
A lot of the power wings on the side of Sharky. Looks like he will have to go ahead and play this level now. Really wanted to get through Bowser that one time, not have to play the level itself because he did use the cloud, and he will have to go back and play the level first. So I'm a little surprised that the decision to not use an item here. You've got plenty. Might as well do it and go ahead and get ready. Boss Pass definitely makes this level a lot more interesting for sure. 610, not a terribly easy level to begin with, and a boss pass to boot, but Sharky does dispose of it quite nicely. And now
Wait, this is 610? I thought you said it was the 6 beta level.
No, I don't believe so. It was 610, I believe. Sharky does use the P-Wing here, so that should mean the end of this first section, no problem. We'll probably not go after the clips, as those are difficult to do with the tail, but no big deal at all.
Some narrow dodging by Sharky. I think he may be going for the clip after all.
Okay, very interesting. Looks like he's going to go ahead and trade the P-Wing for a Fire Flower, which isn't a terrible decision because that could mean a quicker takedown of Bowser. So we will come back and see if he gets that here in just a moment.
Yep, he's going to go for the clip. But, oh, he goes a little too far.
A lot of very precise jumping here as Sharky has to try to figure out another way to get back to that top route, and we'll decide to go ahead and go to the bottom route, which I don't think is a bad decision at this point.
Tried to Mega Man it. Oh, but but takes a quick lava bath.
I can't fault him at all for this. You know, you've got the items at this point. The P-Wing to the flower, I can understand. You know, you're looking to get a fire kill on Bowser, but at the same time, you know, you've got a second match, and that damage there just not friendly.
Zero Wing saying he's beyond tilted at this point. I could slightly see that. when you've gone too close to an hour, you just want the seed to be done. And Shark's still trying to get that mac and cheese clip. And finally gets it. Now it's just him and big old Greenie. I'm not 100% sure, Ricky, but there we go. Get your GGs out for Sharky2107.
Absolutely. And the mac and cheese, we have asked that before. There's actually no rhyme or reason. I think somebody just said it on stream at one point, and it's kind of stuck ever since.
And Sharky's going to finish with a time of 1 hour 40 seconds. So we're just going to get things set up, and we should be back to the second race real shortly. So stay tuned, everybody.
All right, looks like we will be getting set up here in just one moment with the second of the two races. This time we are shaking things up just a little bit. Instead of all question mark levels, we are actually changing to a bit of a different format. We're going to be going with the regular standard Tournament 2 group flag set that they were using. Basically, all the levels are going to look normal. All of the in-card games are going to be allowed. The hammers can break blocks. So we're going to see just a little bit of different strategy here. Not a whole lot. The question marks are nice to know where the fortresses and such are, as we talked about previously. But really, I think we're going to see a pretty vanilla race. And hopefully we can see a bit of a different story for some of our runners. DisasterKatti having some issues on Bowser's Castle there. We'd like to, really see that come back, because it was a lot closer than the time actually showed. So, and then it's Paranoia played a pretty decent run. Would like to keep that up, I'm sure. And Sharky2107, definitely looking for no more soft locks. We really would like to see a much better race between our runners that we know they're capable of. So we'll be coming to that here in just one moment, as soon as our runners get ready.
Oh, absolutely. You just gotta hope that soft lock didn't shake him up at all.
Absolutely. It's such a difficult place to be because you feel powerless. You feel so hopeless in that moment. It's happened to runners on coin chips where they'll clip through a small Mario and they'll wind up in one of the windows underneath the pipe. That happens in just about any place you have an edge and a pipe that leads into a wall that doesn't go anywhere. So it's really just an unfortunate place to be. And unfortunately, in a place like that, even if you clip in another place, you could potentially take an early exit, and then you don't have to worry about the soft lock timeout. And once you're that far into a run, there's no resetting it either. You just have to wait for the clock. So it is an unfortunate side effect of what does happen to our runners sometimes. As you can tell, all of our runners are getting set up. While they do, let's go ahead and get our guesses in. You're welcome to guess the world order, or if you just want to go one at a time, go ahead and get your guesses in for the first one. I think this time we're going to have to go with a World 3 start.
I'm gonna go with word 4. Iggy wants payback. I forgot to put on my mic. I was high for my looks, not my brain. Um, I don't think Caddy has the correct seed.
No, I don't believe so either. We are currently working with the runners in the back end to make sure that we can get this all working, because we do have a couple of different seeds here at this point. And not seeds, but I think the flag set is actually what's in question. So we are working through this here real quick.
Please stand by. Please stand by. Oh.
Okay, a bit of a discrepancy in the background. There was a misunderstanding. The second seed is going to be standard, and we are getting all of our runners into the correct seed. So we will be pulling this up here in just one moment. Over the next few days, we will be finishing up our tournament, at least the group stages here. Over the next week or so, by the end of May, we do want to be done with all of our group stages, and the pool will be going from 24 runners, I believe, down to 24s from 48. So,
24.
So going to be very interesting to see for sure. In the meantime, we do have a few of our races currently scheduled. Tomorrow, May 25th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we have Gimp Extreme taking on Zodiac Dread. Definitely going to be a great one that you don't. Or I'm sorry, I was like, wait, those guys are in different groups. Gimp Extreme and Zodiac Dread are going to be doing the commentary for pre-4 or R57 versus Dave Window. So that's going to be an outstanding match with great commentary. You don't want to miss it. And then on
so the final for that group too, for Group L.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot riding on the line there for both of the runners, especially Dave Lindo. So you don't want to miss that. Anytime the bracket implications are alive, it's bound to be a great race. And also on Friday, we do have 12 p.m. Eastern. Ibuba 7 is taking on It's Paranoia. And then on May 28th at the 3 o'clock, we've got Craig SMB3 versus Paratroopa. And then the next day at 1 p.m., we have Ibuba 7 taking on sharky2107. So this is going to be a lot of racing, and especially for this group, there's going to be a lot of changes in terms of the standings, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and isn't this going to be Paratroopa's first match in the tournament?
I do believe you are correct, and hopefully we see a very good showing. I know that there's been a lot of issues with scheduling, which is a nice burden to have. We have a lot of European runners who have joined the tournament this time, and you love to see it. We love seeing new talent. We love seeing new faces. We love getting new people into this crazy game that we know and love. And it's a little bit of a burden, but it's one that we gladly have.
And I believe we have all the runners at the right seed now.
Yes, indeed. And we are getting started here in just one moment. As we said before, this is a Group 2 standard, or at least should be. And our runners are really going to be looking for a lot of hammers, hammer suits, clouds, basically anything that can give them just a little bit of an edge. And hopefully does pay off for them in the long run here.
Absolutely. Now for Caddy and for Caddy, I think Caddy knows his tournament life could be on the line.
Right. And Rhakor and DisasterKatti both are playing for just really bragging rights at this point. You go into your first tournament, you really want to have a good showing, and that's really what they're going for here, I think, is more just the mental victories.
Yeah, but you can't forget about the chance for an alternate. And out of all four of them, only Caddy's able to beat the Boomerang Bros.
And that was very impressive. The timing there was just absolutely impeccable as he was able to really just win that fight and is now on to 2-4.
But like I was saying, there's always a chance that one of the two top runners could be unable to continue, so we would need an alternate.
Yes, that is definitely a part of the tournament. It's unfortunate, we never want to see it happen, especially when the runners have done such a great job of putting themselves into a good place. And with us allowing our runners to have the ability to really schedule their own, it's one of those things we don't want our runners to have to forfeit for any reason. So we do what we can to make it happen.
Just entered 5-9, one of the two levels we cannot turn auto scroll off. As you call it, Diagonal Doom.
Absolutely. This one is just a huge pain because it takes a lot of time and there are just enough enemies on the screen that still make it really just difficult, honestly, for our runners.
We see Paranoia having a little more success with 5-9. And Rhakor's made it to 5-9 as well.
And Rhakor having just a little bit of an issue getting started there. DisasterKatti going to use the P-Wing, which I think is not a bad decision. So you should be able to fly above the screen and then come back down at the very end.
Oh, it's become a game of Gradius for Caddy.
really anybody's at this point, as all four runners are on to 5-9 at this time. And it looks like the first one through is going to be its Paranoia, so we'll get our first fortress here in just one moment, as he does find where he wants to go next. And it looks like 4F2 will be our first fortress of the night. And going to be interesting to see how our runners do handle this. A Starman there does make that a lot easier for our runners, so hopefully not too much damage is taken here.
I don't know about you, but 5-9 always gives me the willies.
Yeah, very disgusting one for sure. 5-9 is just, it's long, it's slow, it's taxing. There's just a lot of really bad things to do in it.
That and the jumping, because I've always had trouble with platforming myself.
It's Paranoia finding 7-6, which is an outstanding level to play if you're bigger, which we're just about to see with Rhakor and DisasterKatti. So just like that, we do have a leadership change again, where Rhakor and DisasterKatti are both going for the same clip jump here at the same time.
It'll be a race to see who gets it first.
Absolutely, and it's Paranoia joining them as well, is looking for a Tanuki clip here.
And Caddy's the first one to get it. And now Sharky's joining the fray. But Sharky unable to join them for the clip fun.
Indeed, with Small Mario, that just isn't going to be a good idea, as it is a very complicated way to try to get through it. I think it is possible. I think it has been determined it is possible, but not fun and very difficult.
And now Rhakor going through 7-1, just trying to go the old-fashioned way.
6F1 on the side of DisasterKatti, one of the escalator fortresses. Fun one to get started with. Usually we'll see a damage boost there on the spikes so that our runners can go just a little bit faster, not have to wait for the lift.
And it looks like Rhakor got taken out by an invisible enemy.
And DisasterKatti now into his fight with Boom Boom, and Paranoia just now able to get through the clip as well. So all in all, a bit of a nightmare start for our runners. We've had a couple of intentional exits from a level just so that the runners could get a mushroom or some item to make them big enough that they can go through the clip. And Rhakor's still having issues with it. From Callus, we had a question, how far is everyone? Really, we're just neck and neck at this point. We have DisasterKatti onto the first airship of RFC this time, and it's Paranoia and Rhakor were the two that took their respective wins in the last game. So really just a complicated start. 5.5 minutes and we're seeing the first Koopaling fight. That's a bit long for a typical World 1.
And it looks like Caddy's going to finish off Iggy, and is going to be the first to head to round 2. So to World 2. So get your guesses on what's next. And I was right earlier. Remember, I said World 4 was going to be the first. So
I think this time I'm going to have to go with World 2. We'll see if we got a desert scene starting here.
I'm going to go with World 3.
And interestingly enough, Sharky and Rhakor, I should say, are both now into 7-6. They're trying to go through it the old-fashioned way.
And it's World 1, so neither of us were right.
An interesting start for World 1. We do have the World 1 Fortress. This cannot be a critical route because there are 2 ways to beat the level. So we'll be interested to see what our runners decide to do here.
Yeah, I think Nintendo knows that everyone and their grandma who plays this level is instinctively going to go for the warp whistle exit.
Absolutely, especially in a case where the requirement is not there for the lock, and if you have to play the same amount of levels without it, you might as well go for the item, because it could be a hammer suit, it could be something very useful. And a hammer on the side of DisasterKatti. So it looks like DisasterKatti does know that the hammer is going to be useful, and instead of playing those extra levels to get to the fortress in the top right, where 1-3 normally would be, it sounds like they are going to be going for a hammer and going for an early exit out of World 1 here.
Frog TV saying, I just heard someone expel their lunch. I was coughing, Frog TV. I was coughing.
DisasterKatti finishing off the last Hammer Brother of this world. We'll get a music box that will come in handy for World 7. And now the fight with Larry is coming up. Meanwhile, Rhakor still having just a little bit of a problem with his fortress and is going to have to play it yet again. And Sharky has moved into 3rd place overall on this. DisasterKatti on his fight with Larry, looking like a pretty beefy boy, but finally does go down. And with that, we are moving into World 3. Get your guesses in for that.
I'm gonna go with a Fred situation.
I think I'm going to go ahead and switch mine to World 5. We'll see if that does come up here. And it's Paranoia with the exact same play. Looks like he took a hammer that he just received to the lock in front of the castle, decided he didn't want to play more fortresses, and he will be moving on as well.
Rhakor and Sharky still stuck on World 1.
Yeah, pretty complicated start here. You kind of hate to see it, but it is going to take just a little bit of time for these guys to get through it still. Hopefully, Rhakor can get through this without any further incidents and is able to move on to World 2 in a moment. And DisasterKatti going ahead and using the music box. This looks like a very Jet World 3 as well. So as in the same time it's going to take our runners to get through World 1, DisasterKatti has really found a renewed pace, and you gotta love to see it. I think the aggravation from Bowser's Castle last seed has really paid off at this point, because DisasterKatti has come back and looked great so far.
We see DisasterKatti and I believe 6-5 when another stage where there's going to be a vanilla item. You're always going to see a Tanuki suit or a leaf, because an exit is required to be flown to.
It's one of the reasons I don't mind seeing 6-5 at all, because it's a good chance to get an item, and you pretty well know you're going to end with at least a mushroom, depending on how the damage happens up above. So not a bad level at all.
And we see Paranoia getting a star from the Piranha area, so we know that Catty's going to pick up 1 too.
And Rhakor will get that Tanuki suit as well. And just like that, DisasterKatti now into the World 6 airship, which will hold Ludwig von Koopa here. And get your guesses in as well for the next world. We are flying.
Yeah, Catty has come out to play.
Absolutely. Talking about the last seed, Rhakor was a fan of the last seed. So far, it looks like DisasterKatti is a fan of this seed. It is really going well for him so far. And the items have been there. The seed itself has been fast. He has set a pace and is really sticking it right now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think I'm going to go ahead and guess World 5 again.
I'm going to go with World 3. I got to be right eventually.
That's what they tell me. We've got It's Paranoia with the Tanuki suit on to 1-2. Had to go around and play the extra couple of levels, but will not have to play another fortress. So in exchange for all the path and trying to figure out where you're supposed to go, he decides to go ahead and play the 2 levels. Can't fault him there at all for that.
Not really. Sometimes you just gotta take the hit.
Rhakor onto the World 5 airship is doing his best to get caught up as well, and is looking to be in World 7 as It's Paranoia is trying to get out of there. DisasterKatti looking ahead here. We'll see how much he's actually able to do. A hammer here would mean the difference of, I believe, quite a few levels. Because at this point, the only thing that we can see is that that hammer could potentially or really save you a lot of time. It's Paranoia working through 6-5, going for a very nice strat there. Was able to make it through that very quickly, didn't have any problems at all with the boss pass. And a quick finish on Larry for Sharky.
Both Rhakor and Sharky took out Larry pretty quickly.
And we were talking about it just previously. 7-8 has now come up for DisasterKatti. And it's going to be interesting to see if he's able to get through this the first time. That is not a level you really want to come up to on a randomizer.
And a boss bass to boot.
Absolutely, but that will despawn with DisasterKatti going down and finding this bonus item here, which will be a frog suit.
That was the worst frog impression you've ever heard, isn't it?
Well, I've never heard Mario actually make any noise as a frog, so I don't know.
It's like he wasn't even trying.
Rhakor now also joining 6-5 in the festivities there. And It's Paranoia finally through, so he will be joining World 4 as DisasterKatti is actually leading. And go ahead and get your guesses in as well for the next world. World 6, super quick. Apparently he had an extra hammer, and that was all that she wrote, because he is now out of it, on the fight with Lemmy, and moving on to World 5.
Now with that, Lemmy is a 2-hitter, and I'm going with a World 6, with a World 3 again.
I will go ahead and stick with my World 5, and it looks like It's Paranoia realizes he does have a hammer, and that is going to be very useful here. And a Piranha on the side of Rhakor, and he will be picking a fight with Ludwig here in just one moment. Finally, World 5, and it looks like a level which will be a lost level, and a fortress will build the bridge on the left-hand side as we look to the right-hand side, and then, of course, up into the sky as well for where we need to go.
We see Sharky plodding through World 1-2.
And a 5-3 beta on the side of DisasterKatti, a longer level, especially one of the longest of the lost levels, just in terms of length, but does get through that as well. So still doing a great job. Into World 5 at 16 minutes. The pace is still just exceptional at this point.
And DisasterKatti getting a little damage from the Bo Ridley, and it's going to have to start the board over.
Question from Callus in the chat: how many worlds total were done thus far? At this point, Sharky has done 3, or is on a 3rd. Rhakor and It's Paranoia are both onto World 4, and DisasterKatti is working on World 5 right now. So still a lot of game left to play, but you have to believe that the time is starting to run out a little bit on a couple of the runners and what's going on. Right now, Sharky just really needs to buckle down and start getting a really good start and moving on. And I mean, for It's Paranoia, he just needs to keep doing what he's doing.
I think that soft lock from the first race really got into Sharky's head. Then started to show in how he's playing the second seed.
Yes, 4 worlds is the most that has been done so far in regard to Callus's question, and a unfortunate rare miss on the side of DisasterKatti.
And I believe this is 5-4 that DisasterKatti is going through. Oh no, it's a 5-4 beta. Or just a World 5 beta in general.
You were actually correct the first time. This is 5-4. It is a bit of a fun level. It does have the whirly gigs, as I like to call them, and really just sets up for a very interesting level altogether. It's sometimes the whirly gigs at the end will actually despawn based on how fast you get there, so you do have to be careful and mindful of that for sure. And it does appear that DisasterKatti has decided to go down, take a little bit of a nicer path through 4F1 here, which you cannot fault for at all. It does give you an extra item. It takes you away from having to play with some of the thwomps. So a good decision to stay safe and get yourself through it. Meanwhile, we now have a sync up between It's Paranoia and Rhakor, who are just a little bit apart from each other.
It's incredible.
Absolutely, and it looks like It's Paranoia does decide to take the bottom route, which is 7-8, but do not fear, he does have a Tanuki suit, which will mean he is able to get through the first part of this, no trouble at all, and does find Boss Pass, but that will not be a factor here. As I propose, he will likely go under and find the bonus item.
And Rhakor just deciding to juke him Cloud past all the nonsense.
You know, after seeing 7-8 here, I definitely do not fault him for that. He is onto the World 3 airship and is looking to do his best to bridge a gap between him and DisasterKatti right now. Now, also onto World 4 is, in fact, Sharky. So he's looking to catch up as well if he is possible, if he is able to.
And now Caddy's just gonna juke him his way straight to Roy's airship. I can do this. I can do this.
Absolutely, those get me tripped up as well. They're the same sprite with different colors, and I always have problems with it. But that is the World 7 airship. We'll see if he uses the P-Speed strat here. Does not, actually loses it there with a bonk, but that's quite all right. Still making extremely good time at this point. And 3F2 on the side of Sharky will set up for a nice boom boom fight here in just a moment. And now both of our runners, Rhakor and It's Paranoia, will be going into World 5, which is in the place where it's supposed to be. So thanks, Fred. And just like that, DisasterKatti is going into the next world, which I do believe is either going to be 2 or 3.
You know what I'm sticking with?
So I will go with 2 because that seems like a good idea. And really still a close race for the most part.
Aha!
DisasterKatti starting with 5F2 and a very nice P-Speed run so far from him.
Yeah, P-Speed run in 5F2 always worries me because all it's going to take is one missed jump and you're knee-deep in lava.
Absolutely, but these guys are good. To pull stuff off like that is just very impressive. And he does. He is absolutely done with it. And now moving on to the level that he has there. So as the DisasterKatti makes his way through 6-4, we do have both of our runners on the carpet fort, and these guys having to be very careful. And it looks like we do have an in-card game on the side of Rhakor here. I do not fault him for that. Those items are randomized, but there's a good chance that you could get something like a hammer suit or even fire flowers or tails, things that get you further into the randomizer. And Sharky working on the end of World 6 as well.
As Rhakor takes a fall in 5-4, and Katti's made his way to the 2F fort, otherwise known as Spiky Land.
And a very nice piece speed so far from Rhakor, having to be just a little cautious there, as that can be a little tumultuous, especially if the memory does not load like it's supposed to and the last bridge does not spawn.
If that happens, don't you just have to jump to your death?
Pretty much. If you don't catch it in time, yes, you do have to start the level over. And looks like 8-2 currently on the side of Rhakor. And a gulp on the side of Rhakor from the boss pass in World 8-2. So that does mean we will have to go back and play it all over. 2-1 for DisasterKatti, not a big deal. It's a pretty vanilla start, just a few bigger enemies here, but other than that, it's going to be a pretty free one. Sharky now onto this fight with Lemmy and is doing his absolute best to get caught up here, and is looking to bridge the gap in whatever means necessary.
But a second I thought Paranoia got soft locked.
Looks like Rhakor has gone for a frog suit strat. He had a frog suit and picked up a turtle shell, which allows his acceleration to speed up quite quickly, because frog suit does work just a little bit differently, and grabbing and holding a shell does help to keep you running a lot quicker. (7-4) on the side of its Paranoia is given a flower for his start, and we'll be looking to try to get to Roy as fast as possible. I think he might be using a hammer here, but we'll check in on that in just one moment. And Wendy coming up for DisasterKatti.
And Sharky taking another fall.
Both Rhakor and its Paranoia working on 7-4, but Rhakor does take an unfortunate death there. That does mean he will have to start over and try again. And a coin chip for just a little bit of added protection here. I can't say I fault him. He is sitting on 0 lives, so he will get as many coins as he can very quickly, as well as an extra 1-up. Well, maybe not.
And with that, Disaster's on to the final stage, World 2. And if I'm not mistaken, we started with World 2. No, wait, we started with World 7. I'm sorry, I'm brain dead today.
Looks like a cloud on the side of Rhakor, so that's going to be helpful for being able to avoid a level here at some point. And by some point, I mean no. He went ahead and used the cloud. Can't say I fault him for that. He's going to be able to go for an off-screen 1 grab if he does keep that B-Wing. And DisasterKatti now onto 4-2.
And Sharky having more trouble with the disco waffles.
It's Paranoia now also onto World 6 here in just one moment, and still just an absolutely blistering pace from that DisasterKatti, and it looks like a start of 8-1. Disaster deciding not to go over. You can get B speed there and then fly up, find a secret tube, which does take you to the end. So a little interesting that he didn't play it there, but feels comfortable enough that he's going to be able to get through it, that he has decided to go ahead and continue on.
It's a bold strategy, Growl. Let's see if it pays off for him.
It looks like he has, as he has not received a death there, and will be moving on, just playing a level and not taking really any deaths so far. I mean, it's been very minimal, and Disaster is still doing a great job at this point. Especially as he finds himself on 1-5, both Rhakor and its Paranoia finding themselves in 5F2, and an unfortunate misstep on the side of Rhakor does mean he will be taking a game over here.
Though that may have been intentional since he was short on lives.
Yeah, definitely not a bad move. The fortress will not fall, so once you do beat them for the first time, they will not rebuild after game over. But, you know, not a bad decision to go ahead and get it taken care of and out of the way. That way, now you can go ahead and continue playing and just move on from there. DisasterKatti using the pipes to go ahead and bypass the Boomerang Brothers. Finds himself into 3-2. And on the side of Sharky, we have World 2's third level. So looking pretty similar at this point. Before we got started here, we were talking about who's going to beat who. And Rhakor and DisasterKatti have really shown what they can do. And this time, it's all been DisasterKatti. I mean, he has just been on top of it, really playing well, really doing a good job. So we do wish the best to these two runners. I do not believe either one of these will be running on 2 brackets, but we do appreciate them being a part of the tournament and look forward to seeing them in the future.
Absolutely. Well, again, there's always the alternate slot. You never know what could happen. Someone could be grounded. They could have a new job. They could have to move. Anything could happen that could prevent them from continuing.
I think the real question, and really the story that we need to write here now, is what happens in Group B. So right now, Gimp Extreme is still sitting at the top 3-1. If Paranoia continues to win this, he will be a 2-2 afterwards, and Sharky will be a 1-3. So we aren't seeing the 0-4, 4-2, 2-4, and the 6-0 that we have in some of the other groups, such as like Group B and some of the others. But it's interesting to see all of these runners are really only going to be within 2 wins at this point. And I view that 7 has still been yet to play. So a lot of things still to come for at least it's Paranoia and Sharky at this point.
And with that, at the same time, DisasterKatti has taken down Morton, and is on his way to face off into Bowser's domain. I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, definitely agree with Michael J in the chat. There is the possibility that DisasterKatti might be playing just a little too safe, but I don't see it. I mean, the pace has been outstanding. And really, you see a level, you see Disaster go into that level and just immediately play it, get through it, keep moving. Really just doing a great job at this point. And even though he has taken a few little detours for those items in the levels, for the extra life here and there, you know, whatever the case may be, you really can't fault him. I mean, he's really put on a great showing of what he's done so far. And currently in World 8, it's just over 31 minutes. So doing a fine job at this point, and really has put forth an outstanding race this time.
Oh, no question.
And DisasterKatti does find himself in World 8 Fortress. We'll be going for a 1 cycle here in just one moment. And Rhakor and It's Paranoia both going, well, I'm sorry. It's Paranoia is on 4-2, and Rhakor is finishing off with 3-8 here. And an Earthquakey Roy fight does take Sharky down to a small Mario, but that will be the end of it as Roy does not have any more fight left in him.
Roy was not our boy.
So the search for Bowser does continue, and now it's Paranoia using that hidden pipe that we talked about just a moment ago in 8-1. 6F2 on the side of DisasterKatti. Quite a few fortresses played thus far, but I think that's a good decision. You know, if you see the fortress, go ahead and play it. That way you don't have to come back to it.
And Rhakor taking an unfortunate hitbox death from Wendy.
That's another one you hate to see. Those Koopalings can really be difficult, especially for Wendy. She's hard enough to begin with.
And DisasterKatti making it through the 6F2 floor pretty quick. Believe Catty's almost on his way to face off against Bowser.
Absolutely. Really, it's not anything more at this point than just a question of where is Bowser. And not a whole lot of help at the first level, so there is going to be more pipes in the dark room, which could potentially take him to the hand level as well. And it looks like a in-card game on the side of Sharky. That's a really good decision. Having an X or two is never a bad idea.
Can never have too much swag.
DisasterKatti now moving on, and will be likely looking for another fortress here. Hopefully can find some more recon.
And a winged goober drops him from above and sends Sharky back to 0.
4-2 on the side of Rhakor, trying for a P strat that doesn't quite pan out. And it looks like it's Paranoia going through the 1-6 beta stage. DisasterKatti still just trying to make sense of where he's at. Is going back to the lava lake and will go back through as that pipe does not go anywhere that he possibly needs. Because the other two pipes there are not useful. They do connect to each other and does not lead you on any further.
Catty finds a path, but sees that there's one bridge still in between between him and the big green turtle. I do not know why I keep calling DisasterKatti her.
Frog Suit comes up on the Rhakor side, and no, this is actually game 2. The runners already played the first one, Rhakor and It's Paranoia taking the first. Currently, DisasterKatti in the lead, and It's Paranoia shortly behind.
And Catty making his way through the pyramid, but getting sniped by the Jumbo Hammer, bro. Oh, you hate to see it.
Absolutely, and because we do know there is one bridge required, both of these fortresses at least have to be played or investigated. There is a possibility, I believe, that the second one may not necessarily be required or even a fortress, but that's something that we will have to wait and see for sure.
DisasterKatti making another Buzzy Beetle respawn in order to get past the block wall. And again, the Jumbo Hammer Blow snipes.
At this point, his nerves have got to be really on edge. You know, this is not a terribly difficult level, but that Boomerang Brother at the end just being a huge pain. The Sludge Brother just not wanting to let him through, so looks like he will power up just a little bit and get going again. Now Rhakor onto 1.6 beta that we just saw. It's Paranoia playing a moment ago, so hopefully... Oh, unfortunate mistime there.
And let's see if third time's a charm for Caddy. And it is! As Caddy finally makes it past the pyramid stage.
And not a moment too soon, we do have It's Paranoia now onto World 8. They are in two separate races, but still interesting to watch. And DisasterKatti finding 7F2, so we'll opt to go ahead and play it. That way he certainly does not have to come back and play this again. Taking his time through 7F2. You definitely can't fault him for that. 7F2 does get very scary, especially considering which enemy set is there. So taking just a little bit of time to make sure you get it through the first time is a good idea.
And to me, it's just always that last thing, that last like inwards jump that gets to me.
Yeah, definitely not one to sneeze at or sleep at all, because it can be very scary. And of Sharky, we do have it. A wild Tanuki appears. Command. It's kind of a unique little place on the side of the runners, because Fred actually put that in, I do believe, and that's one of the custom screens that you'll get if you're wearing a specific suit. I believe Frog also has one. I think Hammer Brother does as well.
Tonight, I dine on frog legs. Care to join me?
And Rhakor doing his best to catch up to World 8 as well. And with that, it looks like DisasterKatti is our first to Bowser's Castle. And DisasterKatti having just a little bit of a problem with the lift there. Did find out that if you try to fly, and basically what happens is if you jump on it and then you continue to fly, it will actually pass through you and will not basically take you up with it. So you do have to land on the platform, or it will actually phase through you and you have to start all over again.
And that's not a fun time for anyone.
No, indeed. And right now we have Rhakor looking to do his best to get caught up here, but it's just not going to be enough, as DisasterKatti has hit the mac and cheese and is now into its fight with Bowser here in just a moment. Unfortunate on the side of Sharky. 1-5 does take him out, but he will go ahead and cloud over it. We'll go ahead and go through a pipe, which will just actually avoid the Hammer Brother there, and we'll continue on to the fortress. DisasterKatti with just 2 more jumps here in a moment.
And with that, get your GGs out for DisasterKatti, the first one to make it through.
It's Paranoia currently working on the pyramid stage, has to wait for the Buzzy Beetle to get overhead, so it does drop down.
And Caddy's going to finish with a time of 41:03. So let's see if we can get Caddy in for a word or two.
Yes, indeed. We have extended the invitation for an interview, so hopefully we are able to be joined by DisasterKatti, who was able to tie up the last of his runs, basically, and will finish with a tie with Rhakor, where they both wound up with a 1-5. So GG's on both sides for them, for sure.
And if I'm not mistaken, this same situation happened with Group A.
I do believe you are actually correct. Frankenrock and Ricky of Kokiri did that as well. Meowth Rocket doing his. Oh, I'm sorry. Rhakor, the names on
I didn't know
the,
I was in this tournament.
the names on the commentary throw me. I wasn't ready for that there. Rhakor was able to finally get through his fortress and is not going to be able to play the other one yet, so we will have to wait and see what he does. But in the meantime, we are joined by the winner of the second race, DisasterKatti. Congratulations on a very well fought race.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So you had a bit of an issue with a rogue Bowser Castle. It jumped out to get you a couple times. What was your mindset going into the second race?
The second race was surprising. I never thought that would be so fastly done, but yeah, I'm happy that I was first at least one race.
Yeah, I gotta say, you did an absolutely outstanding job. You were flying through the first, I believe, like from World 2 to 5, you were on fire. I think you actually were in World 5 at 16 minutes. Definitely a different pace than we saw in the last game.
Yeah.
So with this being your first tournament so far, what did you think?
I really liked the tournament. I knew that I had very hard opponents against me because Haxer and Backler, they are like very good Mario 3 players.
Yeah, but don't sell yourself short though, Caddy. You did pretty good too.
I think I could have done better on those if I had practiced for those, but yeah.
And I hate to interrupt, but with that, get your GGs out for It's Paranoia, who just beat out Bowser. And let's see what his official time is going to be. And he's going to have a time of 44:52. Let's see if we can get him in for a few words. But going on to what you were saying, Caddy?
I actually forgot what I was saying.
I'm sorry.
Well, we were talking about the randomizer, and it was a bit of a different atmosphere, I think, as far as the tournament goes. And even the randomizer, any thoughts on that?
Well, if I should give for first-time randomizer players something for like to do before you start like joining tournaments, etc., practice. Nothing else. Just practice.
Yeah, we've heard that a couple times, especially from vanilla speedrunners. With vanilla, you can optimize the strategies. You can know exactly what the fastest route is. You can know exactly which item to take, and you always know the path to take. And for randomizer, we basically take all of that away. I mean, you kind of have your same skills on the same levels. You should know, you still know that World 7F1 still has the same path that you have to take. You still have to fly up. You still have to take down Boom Boom. But then we shake up a lot of the rest of the stuff. I mean, even hammers breaking locks, that's not a strategy you'll ever see in a speed run because it doesn't exist in the vanilla. So, a little interesting to see like all the differences and stuff and see how people are able to respond to that.
Exactly.
So is this something you're going to add to your rotation and be ready for next year?
I'm definitely ready for next year. I can't wait to race next year.
Well, we're looking forward to having you in the next year's tournament. Do you have any words of advice for any future racers?
Well, I think I don't have any.
You have anything you would like to say to the other racers?
Well, practice, and practice. Yeah, and GG, I guess.
Indeed, it's Paranoia. We are still trying to get into the booth. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get a interview there, but still, just absolutely outstanding job, well done. I mean, you definitely had a hard group to start it. You know, it's one of those things. What would have happened if you had a different group? But you know, the Haxer and the Bagler are both very fine opponents, and you did great against them. I mean, a 4103, especially in the seat, is nothing to sneeze at all. So very good.
Issue.
All right.
Okay.
It looks like Rhakor is now going to be our third into the fight with Bowser, and Sharky just doing his best to get through 7F2 without any further issues here. All right, it looks like we do have a response from Paranoia in the chat. It says probably not joining for an interview, honestly. Well, GG's, very well played. We do appreciate you having the race today, you know, having us on the comms for you. We certainly appreciate that as well, and for your race. So GG's on the wins, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Peace.
And Michael J. Responded that one of our runners did know about the coin ship and the one-up inside of it. There is a one-up. It is an invisible block, so you have to kind of know what you're looking for. But yeah, it's very unfortunate seeing really catastrophic one-ups or issues in the run where you do have one-ups available and then you take a catastrophic game over towards the end of a world. Especially when there's that many one-ups around.
Oh, no question. And in the meantime, we see Rhakor is just about to finish up with Bowser.
Sharky also trying to figure out where Bowser is, has just, I believe, a few more fortresses and then should have the way open to go to Bowser. I may have already seen it. I do believe there are 2 bridges that Sharky still does have to build. So we're going to go back to the Lava Lake part and find 6F2 here. And, of course, get your GGs out in chat for Rhakor.
And what's Rhakor's time?
It looks like Rhakor does finish off with a time of 49.54. So a couple of longer races for our runners today.
Oh, no question. But long, but very satisfying to watch.
Absolutely. A lot of content, a lot of longer worlds. That tends to be a pretty going rate for me when I roll seeds. So if you like the long seeds, do wait around. I do like to roll some long ones. Of course, this will be the last race that we have for today, but we do have some more coming up tomorrow as well.
Do you think Rhakor's going to want to give us a few words?
We will have to wait and see. I've sent the invitation, and it is definitely getting late there for him, so we will have to wait and see if he does actually want to come in or go ahead and get to bed. Either way, we definitely understand for sure. Rhakor asking, what happens when I need to play 7-6? Bad things. Bad things happen when 7-6 is required.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, 7-6 is one of those that can be incredibly infuriating, especially when you are playing it early or you just don't have the resources or whatever the case may be. So a little bit of an issue there. We totally get that. You know, it's just one of those things you got to get through. And unfortunately, 7-6 is not one you have to or want to have to play through, but sometimes does happen. Interestingly, it looks like there was the Fortress available, but Sharky has said, I'm not going to play it. Goes ahead and equips the hammer suit here, I believe. There we go. And now the fight to Bowser begins.
Let's give your support out for Sharky. He can do this. He can do this.
Also, speaking about providing support to our runners, we have just listed the links to the runners chat or the rooms for the runners in the channel. If you did like what you saw today, definitely reach out, give them a follow. It means a little, or it's a little bit, but it means a lot. And you know, it's true for any of our runners, any of the players in the tournament, anybody that's part of it. You know, we love putting forward the time, the efforts, and things like that. And it really is just a lot of fun. You know, these guys do a really good job. You've already heard DisasterKatti has plans to go ahead and continue playing this. So you could follow and definitely watch as the Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer runs do come to his stream. And I do know that these guys do put those on as well. So just a lot of really good talent here. Feel free to give them a follow. I know it would mean a lot to them, especially the support. You know, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you all, so we certainly appreciate that as well.
Yeah, you guys are what make us want to come here and give you guys one heck of a show.
Absolutely. Get your GGs out for Sharky2107 for a good race as well. And we will wait and see if we are able to get Sharky into the chat room for just a couple of words. Meanwhile, we do want to remind you we do have a few races coming up. Tomorrow will be the next one at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be Pry R57 versus Dave Lindo. And that will have Gimp Extreme and Zodiac Dread on the comms. You won't want to miss it. That's going to be a very exciting race for sure. And then on Friday, we have a couple races coming up between Ibuba and its Paranoia. And then Craig SMB3 versus Paratroopa. And then on Saturday, we also have a run of Ibuba versus Sharky. And we will get the links to that as well in the chat.
Rhakor's saying he didn't get any invite for the voice. I think Rhakor does want to speak to us. And I see Sharky's just about to join us in the booth. Sharky finishing with a time of 53:40.
We will get that all squared away here in just one moment.
Yeah, Rhakor's saying he wants to come in. And
Hey.
there's Rhakor. How you doing, Rhakor?
I'm good.
A very interesting set of Oh, and there's Sharky.
GG Sharky.
Those scenes though.
Yeah, we saw that they gave you both quite a bit of trouble, and especially you, Sharky, in that first one.
Yeah, losing about 5 minutes is waiting on a timer to run out because I clipped and soft locked.
Oh really? Well, in what level did you softlock?
The tower.
Oh, I didn't play the tower.
I jumped and somehow I clipped and I couldn't move.
Lol. Oh, for me, I think the first seed was pretty good. I liked the first one, and then the second one, I had to play 7-6. And even if it is it Warpless or Hundo or whatever, I can't clip this. So I always use a P-Wing there. But I had no P-Wing. So I don't know how the level works, so that was...
So, for both of you, how do you think your run in the tournament has gone?
What?
How do you think you both have done in the tournament so far? Well, for Rhakor, how was your experience overall?
Well, racing against Hexa is unfair. and and the new Begler is also really strong. So that was hard.
Sharky, we know you've got one more match waiting for us. Do you have any plans to practice for it?
Well, I'm going to try to practice. I know I'm the underdog in it, so because the group I get was pretty tough, so hopefully I could still one more win. Most likely play spoiler at this point.
Hey, don't sell yourself short. Anything can happen. In the end, it's all up to the RNGbus gods. Just waiting for my partner Growlwolf to get back.
I'm still here. I was just letting the runners kind of express their sentiments.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I didn't like that first seed. I think my mood did change after I self-reflected, like, well, time to spend a few minutes doing nothing. I'm gonna have to go back to my VOD and clip that, so... Because I don't know what I did. I think I just jumped and missed the pipe and ended up clipping somehow.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, that was the same kind of clip that could be used in 7.5, and it's highly unfortunate. I mean, with there not being a wall on the other side, it's unfortunately the only way that you can get through it is as a timeout, which you hate to see. I mean, that waste of time of like 4 or 5 minutes really is a world. So, you know, if you look at it and think, okay, well, if I hadn't taken that time and the salt level just rises, I have been there. I've soft locked into a coin ship before where I was small Mario in a window and I had to wait for it to time out. And it's just a terrible feeling.
Yeah, after that, I was like, well, there's no way I'm going to win this one. And that beginning of that seed, too much death. So I lost at least 10 minutes overall early on in that seed. And that could have made it real close.
So, Rhakor, any chance that this is going to become a regular practice of yours? Are you planning on getting ready for next year's tournament?
Maybe.
Well, I know we'd all love to see you come back.
Maybe when the tournament starts again. I need to focus on other things right now. But I will still continue playing Warpless and stuff. But I don't think that I will do randomizer for now. And then maybe when the next tournament is, I start practicing again.
Well, we do hopefully see you. We'll see you again soon. Sharky, same question for you. Are we going to see you again here soon?
Well, I've been in every tournament so far, so since, what's the first one? 2018, so... I'm one of the old-time vets at this, I guess, so... Might as well continue on.
Well, we certainly hope so. We do appreciate everybody coming out for the tournament and being a part, and you know, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of our runners. So we certainly appreciate all you guys putting on all these races for us. I do believe that's going to do it for us today. Any final closing thoughts from anyone?
Well, you know, thanks, you know, for the commentary and of course, SpeedGaming for doing the restream.
Hey, no problem, guys. It's always our pleasure. Rhakor, do you have any final thoughts?
No, thanks for hosting.
With that, I believe that's going to wrap things up. So, on behalf of the entire SMB3R community, our racers, our crew, our technical support, our mods, and especially me and Growlith. Alright, well, I was gonna say, this is SpeedGaming saying take care, everyone. And remember, we'll see you next time in the Mushroom Kingdom. Take care, everybody.